What's up, world? This is Mig with NFT Stories, back for another video. As always, I got my main man, Novo, in the building. What's going on, brother?
Welcome, all my aliens, apes, and zombies. Mig, I am so fired up. You've been talking about this for a long time. Let's get going.
Man, you never lied. I'm super fired up as well. Every show, I feel like I say we have a special show. We have illustrious guests. We have some awesome art to show you, and it's always true. And tonight is no exception, all right? So we have three really special guests. First, I want to introduce Anna and Katie Harris. Anna and Katie are really incredible human beings that I've gotten to know. Anna, I met once when she came and visited with Kyle when I lived in New York. Kyle's a good friend of mine. I'm going to introduce him in a second. And her older sister, Katie, I've come to know recently. And they've got an awesome story to tell. They actually grew up in the Umatilla Indian Reservation in Eastern Oregon. They're part of a tribe that was relocated there after the Treaty of 1855. Yes, we know we're always bringing you historical NFT stories, and this one dates back probably earlier than any NFT story that we've told up to this point. So Anna and Katie, thank you guys for coming on the show. How are you feeling tonight?
Well, first of all, thanks for having us. We really appreciate it. Sun is just now starting to set over here, so it's a beautiful evening for us.
Awesome. We're getting that golden hour lighting on you, so we're going to make sure we take good advantage of it during the interview. And then the artist of the hour, the artist of the evening, is a really good friend of mine. I've known him for several years. He's an illustrious photographer. He does all sorts of photography, from portrait work, landscapes. His fashion photography has been used by retailers and fashion designers, including The Gap. He's shown up in Vogue magazine. He's traveled to the far reaches of the earth to document incredible stories. He spent a lot of time in Ethiopia doing really philanthropic documentary work with orphanages, and just an all-around awesome artist and human being, and designer and animator, which is going to be really important because we're going to talk about that tonight. My good friend, Kyle Lemire. How are you doing, brother?
Well, pretty good after that. So,
hey, man, it's all true. And we're excited to have you, man. This is really cool to see all three of you on the screen with my good buddy Novo, my co-host, and excited to talk NFTs tonight. Okay, so you might be wondering, what is a story that dates back hundreds of years and a photographer slash animator slash illustrator? What does it all have to do? How does it all come together? But first, first things first, I want to make sure everybody really understands sort of the gravity of Kyle's work and sort of how, I guess, dynamic of a photographer he is. Kyle, I mean, you do a little bit of everything, right? Like in some of your photos, you are doing fashion and portrait work and landscape work all in one, but you can also go in one particular direction and really get niche, if you want or need to, right? And you've done a lot of even music photography. This is a Hollywood Holt album cover. How do you think of yourself as a photographer these days? Like, can you even be contained to one genre, or how do you want people to think of you as a photographer, especially in this new NFT world?
No, it's more just been like just life and life experiences and just being open to everything, and just general curiosity for everything like that I'm not, and where I come from and places like that, and just getting to know people and and just being overall curious about people has just kind of led me kind of all over the place, and just what you learn from other people and what you gain, just in so many small different little areas. It's like kind of way I built my life around that. And so photography has just been like this vessel of a way to kind of grow as a person, and then the cool part is at the end of the day, you have an image to show for, so there's something to walk away with. So that's kind of like, what keeps me going with it, and why I stay, like, it always keeps me kind of grounded.
Absolutely. And it's taken you to some cool places, man. You've met some really cool people. You've done wrestling photography for Billy Corgan's wrestling company, who is a personal hero of yours. I see Martellus Bennett, former Chicago Bear, who we're both Chicago guys. Novo's a Chicago guy. So it's taken you around the world and back again. But, tell us how you met and Anna and Katie, you guys jump in here too. How did you all meet? Because we're going to get right into it. You guys are, and this video is probably going to drop on what is Thursday, April 1st. And no, it's not a joke. It's not April Fool's, because this is the debut of a really incredible exhibition. Okay, so I want to hear your story in just a second, but I want to first make sure people know how to check out the exhibition. They can go to chopperchunky.com. And this is a good friend of the show, Mark Craig, and who runs this gallery. And if you scroll down, you'll see the entryway to the gallery there. Or you can go to thisnativeamericanlife.com. And this is where you guys have, or you're exhibiting 30 different NFTs from photos that you all took together. But guys, tell us, how did you guys meet? How did this sort of unlikely pairing come about?
Katie?
Okay, I guess I could start. So, so there's this event that have been participating in, and our family has for 5 generations. It's called the Pendleton Roundup, and through that, I got connected with National Geographic, and then eventually I had another magazine that's worldwide reach out to me. And I remember I was in college and I was just sitting in the parking lot, and I get this message from Kyle and the magazine. And they're like, hey, we want to fly out and meet you. And then next thing I know, Kyle was on his way to Pendleton, Oregon, small little town, and came to our reservation, and we met him. And we just kind of really clicked, because I had worked with a couple photographers by then, but Kyle was like completely fresh here from Europe. He just got done doing some work in Spain and then flew out to little rural Eastern Oregon to photograph my sister Mary and I. Anna wasn't here for the very first meet, which is kind of sad, but she got to meet him eventually. So that's kind of how it started, is just with a magazine, one thing to another thing to another thing, and then we met Kyle, and we've kind of just stuck with him since, and he just comes and hangs out with us annually, and it just hasn't stopped. He kind of has been like our cousin that comes to stay with us during that stays
too long.
And you guys actually wrote that. Like, one of the really cool things about this NFT virtual gallery is that it's not just storytelling through Kyle's lens or Kyle's camera, but actually there's a lot of text that is written by you, Anna and Katie, and your younger sister Mary, right? So it feels like really collaborative. And I think you wrote that somewhere here. You wrote, like, Kyle became part of our family. He saw that our culture and story was so unique, beautiful, and original. Collectively, between our 2 tribes, the Umatilla, and how do I pronounce? Can you help me understand, like, the relationship between the tribes and how to pronounce all of them?
Yeah, so the tribes are Umatilla, Cayuse, and Nez Perce. Currently, right now, they're kind of like the Cayuse and the Umatilla tribes are combined. The government doesn't recognize them separately. And then the Nez Perce tribe right now is currently located in Idaho. But if you go back 100 years, 150 years, the Cayuse lived in a little bit different place than we are right now. And the Nez Perce, our homelands, is like 2 or 3 hours away from where we are on the reservation.
Wow.
Katie and Anna, can you walk me through some of this amazing garment that you guys are wearing? And also, it looks like you're using a lot of the native lands that you're on as well. Can you explain a little bit in further depth about both of those aspects?
Yeah, do you want me to talk about this one?
Yeah, you can talk about
So this one, in this current photo, the blue dress, it's more of a contemporary dress. It's the kind that you use when you dance at powwows, and powwows is like a modern day celebration of when tribal people got put onto reservations. They still had to figure out a way to celebrate their culture, and that's kind of how like powwow came to be, is where you're able to celebrate. Our people do love celebrating, so that's always been around. But this particular photo with this dress is the jingle dress, and it's a healing dress that originated from like the Ojibwe and people up in Minnesota. But now a lot of people have kind of taken in this type of dress, and people all over the country wear this style. But it's known as the healing dress. And back in the day, they used to adorn them with like shells and beads and different things like that. And nowadays they're adorned with metal cones to make a certain sound.
And Anna, I want to get your perspective here because we were talking a little bit, before we hit record, and you were, making a really great point. And I think Katie just touched on it, that for those of us that aren't Native American, we can't think of Native American culture as one culture or one bucket, right? Like there's different regions and different tribes. And so can you talk a little bit more about that and how that has influenced you guys in Oregon?
Yeah, I would love to. The majority of the United States and the world beyond have never met or seen a Native American, never crossed paths, have never, been to a reservation or, been part of or seen our culture. And a lot of times with, Hollywood and the media and just stereotypes and, preconceptions, everyone just kind of groups Native Americans into, like one big group, like you're Indian, you're Native American. And what I was talking about earlier is that, you can ask 100 different Native Americans, 100 different natives from 100 different tribes, all over the US, and you'll receive 100 different answers on what it means to them to be a Native American. And each tribe, there's over 500 tribes within the United States. Each tribe has their own history, has their own language and their own culture. So I just think it's really important to acknowledge the fact that this project, this Native American life, is very personal to us because it's our perspective and it's our life. And people can have so many different experiences. So,
and this land that you guys took these pictures on, were like, I mean, this is where you guys grew up and your family members grew up. So it's more than just you guys personally. It goes down generations, like you guys spoke about, prior.
Yeah. Can you,
generation.
I want to talk about the land in depth for sure in a second, but can you also talk when you talk about it being personal, on one of the paragraphs that are written on the walls of the exhibition, there's a story about how a lot of the regalia, a lot of the clothing that is depicted here, some of the more traditional clothing, I should say, right, was almost like lost to history, like almost basically was almost completely lost. And your mom kind of helped, somehow, and I want to hear kind of from your perspective how she did it. She helped like restore that tradition, and now you guys are carrying that on. How did that come about? Like, how did she sort of unearth, what was also almost a lost tradition or a lost art?
Yeah, so if you look back at photos from like the 30s and 40s and late 1800s, there was so much regalia, so many families had so many pieces, and what happened is that a lot of people ended up selling it, or like in the early 1800s, people overseas would buy it. I know like Russia has a huge museum full of, Russia and Germany. People buy up Native American stuff, and Native American people would sell it so easily. And what happened for our family personally is my grandma's grandpa had a house, and it completely flooded and destroyed all the regalia because they had it in the basement. And then another way that our family has lost regalia is when my grandma went away to boarding school, she left her trunk of regalia in a family member's house. And then one of the men that was in the family, like a cousin or something, started giving it away and selling it to other people just to make money. And then my grandma comes back and has no regalia. So my dad was one of 5 boys and then had 3 other male cousins that grew up in their house. And so we had no regalia. My dad and my mom had 3 daughters. And it's like, if you have 3 daughters, we wanted regalia. I wanted to dance so bad. I wanted to parade on horses. But my mom, she was like, well, and my mom's from the Crook tribe. So she has a completely different style of regalia.
Completely different.
And it's from Northern California. But what happened was, my mom was like, well, if you want regalia, you're going to have to make it yourself. Nobody's going to make it for you. A lot of it's a lost art, but she bought a lot of books and we looked at a lot of photos, and everything that we've made, we have like talked to people on like things that they remember, or maybe little snippets of information they might know how to make something.
And more than a couple times, my mom and I would go to like a couple different elders' houses, and they would, show us how to put together these clothings.
Yeah, because they're put together a certain specific way, and like even all of the design work. I mean, there's like she was saying how there's over 500 tribes. All of us have different styles. Like we may all wear buckskin dresses, but the way our buckskin dresses go together, the designs that are on the buckskin dresses, you can tell what tribe people are from, or at least like the region that they're from by the style of their dress. So we've really been trying to bring that back. I've made about 9 or 10 buckskin dresses now, but we've had to just completely make regalia from scratch. We found photos of my grandma's regalia that got stolen, and we completely recreated it so that we would have a version of it, because who knows where it is in the world, if it still is out in the world. I mean, we might as well.
If it's still in existence even.
Yeah, so we might as well just recreate it.
That's incredible. I mean, you guys are like, you're like anthropologists, sociologists, crafts people, you're artists all in one. And can you give folks at home, like, how many hours or days, goes into making one of these dresses, just one of them, on average, let's say?
It depends on at what point you count the starting process. For example, our father, he makes his own hides. He brain tans elk hides. So if you start at the very beginning from the animal,
right,
that is just countless hours. I couldn't even give you an estimate, to be honest.
But I can kind of give you an estimate for the beadwork. For Anna's dress, if I really push myself and stay up like 24 hours for an entire week, I can do actually that dress that's in that photo right there.
Yeah, the pink one.
But that's with pushing myself, and I don't know, I'm a get it done type of person. So if I make a goal, I'll get it. But those dresses really do take a lot of time, and it's taken me a lot of practice to be able to bead that fast and that consistent.
Right.
But
and I also love
that.
What was that? Sorry.
Hopefully I don't have to do very many fast projects under time limits like that again.
Yeah.
One thing I love is how collaborative this exhibition is, because there's actually very few words from Kyle in this exhibition. It's just sort of what he saw and what he was able to capture with his camera. And then actually, like, you and your sisters wrote, or your younger sister Anna wrote these descriptions, which have like these nice little historical, cultural, like, facts and Easter eggs to help people really understand and appreciate what they're looking at. So it's super collaborative. But I want to ask you, Kyle, as a photographer, like, how did you approach these as an NFT collection? And I love, what captures my eye is like the very subtle animation and the clouds sort of slowly rolling and drifting. In some cases, and I want to go back to one of them, which is one of my favorites, like you have even birds, flying. What inspired that sort of style? And can you talk about like NFTs as a new medium enabling that?
Yeah. When I think you were the person that kind of brought NFT to my attention, and I started reading about it quite a bit, it just made sense to me right away, because I was seeing what the trends were in NFT, and it seemed like there's like a lot of things around on the animation side, to character animations, to GIFs, to things like that. And immediately right away, it just made sense to me that, like, if I did this as a photography, like a new way to like give like new life to this, like these photos that we already love, but then bring them into this new world in this new setting, and then be able to like take it to that next level, but without like tampering with the idea of what the image is supposed to be, So for me, it was just try to be as simple as possible, but something that added to it rather than kind of take away. And just kind of that feeling where, like, if you're there kind of in that moment, that moment of them is frozen, but the world is still kind of moving, kind of takeaway.
That's awesome.
I just love the colors of, you know, the traditional garments just mixed with nature, and then just the subtle movement that you did with the background just slowly moving, like you just mentioned. It's just beautiful. It brings your eye all over the place in all the photos that you've presented. You know, these NFTs are just excellent.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. It just seemed just such a natural thing when I looked at these photos. It was right away. Because, you know, they tell so much of a story as it is. So I didn't, you know, so it was the whole idea of just, you know, let's just try to, you know, build it up, you know, just to a, you know, just a point where it just felt like it right, you know.
Well, dude, it's super, I mean, it's beautiful. It's just on its face, it's just beautiful. But I think what's really, what really makes it amazing to me is also you guys' close friendship. It's authentic. Like you couldn't fake that in a million years. I mean, I think you've been in a really privileged position to like be trusted to share these images and the story and everything. And I think also what's really cool is the land is a really big part of this release. You know, everybody, you know, we should know to a certain extent, everybody should know that, you know, this land that we're all on as Americans, or those of us that are not on, you know, it was stolen basically, you know. And so can you guys talk about, you know, your partnership, and you guys are doing something special, and I want to actually pivot for a moment and talk about a foundation that is really important to the Nez Perce tribe, and that is actually helping take care of the land. And Anna and Katie, can you guys talk about the Nez Perce Wallowa Homeland organization and sort of what it's doing with the sacred land to you know, take care of it?
Sure, I can. So the homeland is, somebody had bought or donated like 300 acres to this organization to caretake as a place for anybody who is descended from the Wallowa people, so that they were able to go home. During the war of the Nez Perce and the U.S. government back in 1800s, the Nez Perce had to leave their homelands, which was like beautiful and perfect and empty and rural, and they fled to Canada, got captured. And this is, they kind of just have this land for us and this 300 acres. I mean, it's not very much, but it's just like a place that people can return to, because I mean, for the last 10,000 years, we've lived here and come to this place, and literally our DNA is from that land, and everything that we ate, everything we hunted, all of our horses, like everything is connected, all of our DNA is connected. So it's just really great that they have that place that we're able, when we go back there, that we can always just stop in and go see it and go hang out and have kind of like a home base. I mean, we camp there every single year. So
That's
it's just
awesome.
really great for allowing us to go back home.
And so with the gallery exhibition, you know, these NFTs are available on OpenSea. If you click for more information, then it actually takes you to the OpenSea link here, where you can see you've got 30 different NFTs available. Some are 1 of 1s, some are 1 of 5s, and some are 1 of 10s. And all of them, 20% of the proceeds are going to the Nez Perce Wallowa Homeland organization, which is really awesome. So anybody out there, you know, we have a lot of really great collectors that pride themselves on finding the newest, coolest art. We pride ourselves on bringing you the newest, coolest art. We're actually recording this on Wednesday night. Their drop is at midnight. So we're probably going to release this video on Thursday, April 1st, the day of the release. So we're always giving you the good stuff early. Make sure you check out the collection. Make sure you understand that it's not only a great story, but 20% of the profits are going to a really great cause to help take care and protect this sacred land. So it's really, really awesome. And for those 1 of 1s, those 1 of 1 auction pieces, those are actually going to come with a physical item, because we mentioned Harris Sisters Collab. This is you guys' store. You guys make awesome handcrafted goods. You're especially with leather, right? You guys are really good with leather and beadwork. And so these are some handbags that are like very stylized and very colorful that you guys are going to create for the auction winners of the 6 one-of-ones, right?
Yes.
Awesome. So that's something that's really unique that, not only are you doing something for a good cause, you're going to have something cool to kind of like have as a piece of physical artwork as well. So guys, this has been amazing. I'm going over my notes. I want to make sure that we talked about, all of the highlights. One highlight that we didn't talk about, I'm just seeing in my notes, there's some really incredible music when people enter the gallery here. Okay, so when you first enter the gallery and as you move throughout it, there's some really awesome music from your tribe. It's not playing right now because it would just be too much with us talking over it. But can you give sort of the backstory of, some of the music and where it's from?
I can. So one of the years, Kyle got to come out and actually go to the Pendleton Roundup, and he videoed us again, photographed us, hung out, got to see what went on the whole week. And one of the days, actually, I think every Wednesday through Saturday, they have dancing in the park. And so it's kind of a mix between being a contemporary powwow, but for Pendleton, everybody's wearing traditional clothing. So the music that's playing is from when Kyle went and watched the dancing, and there's like a huge crowd when people are out there dancing, and he's just like, it's just the video of him watching all of the different intertribal dances that were happening throughout the day. And so it's really great music. It's called powwow music.
So it's powwow music. It's authentic. This isn't something that was like pulled off of YouTube or, downloaded or anything like that. It's really from your tribe. And I think that's really cool to just add to the atmosphere as people check out the gallery. So guys, this has been incredible. I think that this is definitely a lot of firsts for our show, in terms of representation. Honestly, I hate to say this, I'm embarrassed to say this, but you guys are not only probably our first Indigenous guests, but you're also, to my knowledge, you're our first, the first ladies we've had on the show. So thank you guys for coming on and just representing and holding it down. It's been really great to have you on the show. Kyle, my brother, great work. I could not be more proud of you. And I'm looking forward to seeing, how the NFT world embraces this. And I know you've got a lot more exciting stuff in store. Any final thoughts before we bring it home from anyone on the show tonight?
For Kyle, man, one thing that stuck with me is how you're taking, Katie and Anna, and you're kind of freezing them in time while the world's still moving around them, which you spoke about. And to have this as an NFT and to actually show history behind it is just brilliance on your part. And to Anna and Katie, for what you're doing, for your movement, for your people, for people overall, thank you, because we need more positive people in this world, like the people that are in front of me right now. So thank you, guys.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, y'all.
We say Katsiaya.
Katsiaya?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's our language.
Man, see, we're learning stuff too. You guys have been very gracious with your time, really generous with your culture, and thank you for helping us be able to tell the story and trusting us to tell that story. So much love. Hopefully, this isn't the last time we'll have you on the show. Hopefully you guys will, continue to do more great work together. But until next time, this has been NFT Stories. This is Mig, and we will see you on the next episode. Peace.
Stay positive and love life.
Yes, sir.